It's blocking out the sun. Alright fellas, as you can tell from the intro, but it looks like there's way too much oil in it. Let me show you. I'll show you actually, I want to show you when I get up there because I just turned it on its side. But I just checked it, and a lot of people just put too much oil in these things. So it's really gross, but basically everything seems to be working. So I'll tell you what. Look at the carbon on that. So let's get it up on the table over here, and we'll loosen everything up, kind of break it apart a little bit. We'll look underneath, we'll pull the blade, and today I'll give it a good cleaning and just get that done today. I do have another motor in case of emergency. We don't know if the all-wheel drive works. I think I did a quick test on it, but everything basically is working. Right, so it's just all sticky, and I mean, we don't really know. So let's just get a better look at it and see what we can make of it. Now here's the bag, and look, we already got growth, you know, in there. So we'll clean the bag up today. Let me just I'll bring you in as I see stuff, and I'll show you what's going on. Let's take a look at the oil. I just took a look at it. Yeah, wait till you see. Hopefully you can see it. Look at it. It's like way up to here. It's just this mewy. Somebody filled this thing. It's just this mewy, goopy. Might even have some water in it. It's just nasty. I don't know if you can see, but the full line is like it's down here, and like we were like all the way up to here. So that's why she's smoking. Doesn't look too bad underneath here. Just your spiders and stuff. So you got dual transmissions, double trouble, with a crazy, ridiculous extra system of pulleys and things to go wrong. But, you know, the person used the blade until it can't be used anymore, and I don't know, they just ruined the machine. It's a shame. All right, we'll pull the blade off, and I want to loosen all this up, see if we can get this off to get in there and clean and lubricate and check. It doesn't look terrible from here, but we still want to get in there. Look, it's growing stuff. Yeah, huh? All right, looks good otherwise. Hey, this thing needs a proper cleaning. Oh, we got to take this spring off, fellas, because we're going to do some serious pressure washing. That oil is just trying to get out of there as quick as possible. Let me do that. Put it over on the line. Let me free up these two. We want to make sure these are loose while we're here. We get in there. We'll do the backs as well so we can get them off. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I can just do it any time. But yeah, we don't hold the insects. It's just gross. Well, there's your oil-bathed air cleaner. Yep, we don't care. Well, fellas, don't say it, fellas. Spray it. Ah, the magic of super glue. Follow me. Super clean. Get yours now. That's just mud. One of the things I did was, I burped it, right? I turned the motor over a little bit because I got the bail pulled back and it threw up. So that enabled me to get a little bit more out because it gets stuck behind the piston and stuff. I'm gonna let that continue to drip. I already started, you know, lubricating the cables from this end here while it was up in the air. Let's look at the other side. All right, just inspecting everything here. These are all moving good. I put a little bit of my tranny sauce on there, and then also I take oil and I come in from this side. You also want to kind of get back here because there's seals and stuff. I got some chain and cable lube up in that cable area. All right, that's the actuator cable. Oil and such here, same thing on that one. And then when I put this together, which you'll see in a minute, and it's done draining oil, we'll flip it over the other way, and then we'll drop some oil in. It just helps to kind of put some oil in this way. It'll save a little bit of time coming in from a different angle. But we also want to get like the seals here. Like I said, that's kind of important. There's a seal there. It'll actually drain into the bushing. It's really more of a bushing there, and there's grease in these things. One of the fellas, now these are plastic, but one of the fellas said to me, he goes, what he's been doing like on the Toros, like the steel caps that are on, he puts a grease fitting in somewhere. And that's not a bad idea. But to do it correctly, you're probably going to want to, if you're going to drill, you're going to leave material. So you might want to take it apart. This is plastic. You don't really got to worry so much, but you're going to want to put it in maybe a little bit of Loctite or something. Try to get it on a side that you can get to. I don't know, there's going to be a cover over here. But the cover comes off easy. So something to think about, fellas. There'll be no cover on this side. But you don't want the grease fitting like here because that would be sticking to the ground. You'd mash it, probably knock it off. So it's something to think about. He mentioned that on a Toro, an older Toro machine. That's just washing the outside. Look, you can see this filth and dirt all within this jet. And probably a lot of oil too, that black disgusting oil. So we're going to clean this out and we'll put it back together and we'll see what happens. Flip the way up on the other side. All right, so I got the baffles in, blades on. All right, this is tight. The two bolts on the top are tight. The two bolts that hold this part of the baffle in are loose. I got to get this bolt and the bottom bolt in there as well. They just go into the plastic. We're going to do that as soon as we turn our attention to the wheels because you actually got to pull the wheels off to get to those bolts. So we're going to go over the gears. Remember, I flipped it, so I got oil in on this side, oil over there. Been sitting for a little bit, so it's worked its way in. Let me put this on all fours, and we're going to prep this thing up and get it ready to fire up. All right, carb is almost on. Now, this choke stove was frozen, lock solid, so I like to put a little bit of my tranny fluid mix. That's like a 50-50 tranny fluid and gas. And then I follow up a little bit of oil, and it's got to have that spring, little spring effect. We got to put the, speaking of spring, we got to put this spring on here. One that goes across from here to here. We'll put that back. But I often say when you're in here, put a little drop of oil on that. It'll keep that choke stove from freezing up. Basically, to replace it, you got to replace the muffler, which, you know, for a little part, choke stove spring like that, it's now you're talking a bit more money. All right, let me keep going. We're almost done. In case you lost this, and I often say before you start washing or pressure washing, take the spring out. Same thing with the flathead engines, the older flathead engines. Similar, right? And you got to take the spring out because if you don't, right, you're going to lose it. So you got one here, and on this like sort of rod that comes up, and then we can see. Okay. All right. Let me put this cover on now. All right, so I lubed this up really good, and then you pull it through. There's a spring pocket in there, kind of grabs. You want to get it in there. You want to pull it through, down through the center. The poles wipe up any excess. And then there's this plate here. This is like a friction plate. It helps keep this mechanism in place. It will wear a little bit on the top of the flywheel where the fan is. That's okay. Just make sure that it's in these little snaps. You'll see it. It won't come up if it's in place. Kind of flimsy, fellas, I know. This helps with the squee sound. Like if you, to listen for the sound, what you do is when your engine's running, just pull on the pull cord a little bit. Just pull it out a little bit, and you're going to hear the poles engage, and it'll go squee. How's that again? No, fellas, you're going to have to do that yourself. Plug's ready. Okay, it's a good plug. And we're just going to cleaned it, put it back, put a little no seize on it. It was gapped out at about, probably opened up to about 34 thousandths. I bring them into about 30 thousandths-ish. All right, we're just about ready to put all this back together. It's looking good. We'll put all that on. I'll get oil in it. It's raining out, and this thing's going to smoke big time. So let me see. I think what I'll do is I'll put it back together, get oil in it, and before I drop fuel in it, we're going to pull the rear tires and the front tires. We'll get the adjusters working. Look, this is broken. I got to find another one of those. All right, so I'll do all of that, and if it stops raining today, then I'll test it then, but if not, I'll wait till tomorrow, fellas. I think another thing I'm going to do is before I put the top on, we're just going to, you shove a screwdriver into where the brake goes, right? while it's open, and then you take this out, off. All right, I got to release the bail because I got it tied back with some Velcro. We'll wipe that out, put some grease and chain lube in there, and chain cable lube in, and put it back. I already did the top, but that'll make it work really good, and it'll be serviced. So I'm just gonna do like whatever I can to it. It's getting a little late in the day. Worst case is I start it up tomorrow, and we'll check it over. It's gonna smoke big time, fellas, big time. It's got to run for a while. I ain't running in here like that with the windows closed because of the rain. So this is what I mean, right? Shove it into the brake, and then you can pull the cables out. Yeah, it's nasty. We want to get some lubricant in there, get this sort of cleaned off, get it in. You can actually remove this tip and use a cable luber and blow it backwards into there. See how I got it set up over there? I took it off. All right, let me do that, and I'll be back. These cleaned up real nice with the pressure washer. Now I oil this with just, halfway decent used oil, like before I put everything back on, do my final rinse. So there was really no water in here. Super clean. A little bit of grease on that. I do a little oil on everything, then some chain wax, and then follow up with a bit of grease on there, because remember, these are steel gears. So we're all ready to go. And of course, we got our big washer on there. And if you want, you can put a dab of grease on that, but it'll happen anyway as we push this on. And then that will be mint. Oh, yeah. Sweet. Moves perfect. We got to do the front, but I also got to find a replacement for that. They're a little bit different, so hopefully I have one. All right, let's give it some nutrients. Some Rotella T5 1540 with all the goodies in there. This is basically diesel oil. Now, it's a little dark, but it's got everything we need. And it's a little thicker because what came out of there was just absolute mud. Let's take a quick look at the oil that came out a little closer. Oh, fellas, this is just absolute mud. Look at the junk sticking to the side, right? It's just like this weird pukey mud. All right, let's get some oil in this thing. We're going to do a test in a minute. So we got no air cleaning yet, though. We'll bring it in for a final if it runs good. So we got it all cleaned up. We got some fresh gas. We got our oil in there. It feels like it's a little overfilled. I only put like not even 20 ounces in. But stuff just gets stuck. Anyway, let's see what it does. Automatic choke, so it should just start and run. Up. It's dry, and remember, it's going to be a little oil bound, right? Might even want to help it out. Oh, I smell it already. She's cleaning up. Getting better. All right, let's give it a hot start. Uh-oh. I saw black smoke. That means that choke is getting a little bit stuck on, right? And that steam, hey, that's water. I just made it drip. So that's still a bit of a problem. She's got to run a little bit longer to really walk through everything. May even want to pull the plug, give it another cleaning because she's got to get through all of that oil and get some of that water out too. I'm going to run it a little bit longer. Let's give it another start though.
Twenty minutes later.
Yeah, it started to slow down, right? It's been purged. It needs to be out there for a while running. Let's get it. Nice new air cleaner. Everything nice and fresh. Let me finish up the few little things I want to do, and I will see you guys in a minute. So let me get you out of here on this, right? This thing came out really good. All right, we'll take a look at it. It runs really good. But I'll tell you, it must be nice to be able to have the money to just throw this thing out. This was free. It was thrown out. It was just discarded. Now, this is a little more modern version because it's got the E-Series motor, but some of the earlier ones came out with the flathead Briggs on it. And I've even seen some with Hondas on them. And they're expensive. They're kind of pricey. You know, what happened to just thinking, you know what, why don't I bring it into a service mechanic? Bring it over to the local shop. All right. Well, without getting too deep into that discussion, the whole concept of that is gone. And I think it might be coming back for a time because these things are getting really expensive. This was expensive. This machine was expensive when it was new, comparatively, when times were even better. But now they're through the roof. I don't know what happened to it, right? Well, a lot of them, where I live, there's a lot of shops that are bigger and they get very busy, and you have to be a big shop to survive here on Long Island. You're just not going to survive. A lot of the smaller guys, most people can't even afford to have a garage anymore. They turn them into rental units. So there's a lot of people that are just not going to do this, and they don't have the skills, or they're too busy doing other things. There's not a lot of money in this. And you can't, if you are going to do it, you can't just give away your work. I mean, some people won't even spend $100 on their machine just to have it like tuned up and tweaked so it doesn't get like this. This is not a tune-up. Like, for example, this is a full service and a repair. There are many times when people will hit me up and they'll say, oh, I just need a tune-up. Okay, does it run? No, I think you need to go through the carburetor. Okay, well, that's not a tune-up. That's a repair. Okay, oh, and then silence. Crickets. And it's just a nice machine. It's some people don't like the E-Series engines, but everything came back. Now, again, a lot of that moisture that you saw coming out, there's moisture. It's evaporating. It's cooking out of the crankcase vent. And a lot of times it gets stuck in that crankcase vent. So it's, the dew point comes up. It's been sitting for, I don't know how long. It was discarded, thrown out. I got my hands on it. Nice free machine. You saw what the oil looked like. It was a mess. And that water wasn't necessarily in the oil, although you could see some gray to the oil. It wasn't white. It's been discarded, been left to sit out. And meanwhile, look at it now. It's a really nice machine. Now, they're a little hard to sell. They're a little bit better for on the northern side of the island here, where there's more hills. That extra sort of, four-wheel drive system is much better on a slightly hillier terrain. A lot of people don't like it because you can't bob the front around if it's a rear wheel or front wheel drive, and some people prefer rear wheel drives. A little harder to sell, but it's sold. And I also know some people that kind of collect these. They look for them, and I have sold a few that way. It's an excellent machine. It's basically an MTD. Got a nice body on it, very strong, and everything was there. So it was just overfilled. Now, one last thing on that. A lot of these on the Huskies with the E-Series motors, they say you don't have to change the oil, just add. Well, think about somebody that doesn't really know anything. They might be thinking, well, it says I don't have to change it, but maybe I should just add some oil in regularly. Next thing you know, they're overfilled everything, and I've seen this a lot. And then you get this. Once this happens, you might as well go over the whole machine. A lot of times what I see with like tune-ups, it's not a tune-up. It's a service. You've never serviced it. You've never cleaned it. Your blade's a mess. Your drive system's gagging and sticking. Your cables are sucking. Like they're all getting rotted. I can't move the adjusters, right? That's a full service. There's a little bit of repair, full service. You got junk in your tank. You got junk in your trunk. That's a full service. That's not like a tune-up. I don't even know what a tune-up is anymore. You know, what do you change the plug and the air filter and the oil? I mean, if somebody at least did that and washed their machine off every now and then, they may not have to throw out a machine and buy a new one. Thanks for watching this episode of Archer's Garage. I really appreciate it. I had fun with this one. This is more of an inspirational. Fellas, if you find one like this, great. But don't let this happen to you, and don't let this happen to your machine. Right? These were much better machines than even the older ones. This is the kind of stuff I look for, so I could sell and have a nice machine to my customers and give them something that I can put myself and my name on and stand behind. See you guys later.